Okay, so we're going into day 2, so the second class of this basic series. So yesterday we focused on alignment, focusing on stability, connecting to very specific muscle groups and kind of feeling where the joints are. So we're going to continue building onto that. You're going to see a repeat of some of the exercises that we've done, and then we're going to do some progressions on those as well. So I'm not going to be using any props today. I just want to have my mat out. If you guys do need a cushion or a folded up towel to give you padding for knees or to put underneath your head, then please just have it next to you so that it's ready to use at any point that you need it as well. Okay, so let's come into a resting position. So for those of you that come from a yoga background, this is also called the child's pose. So you're just going to come towards the back end of your mat, open your knees, big toes together, and then just sit your hips back for a moment. And then I want you to put the palms of your hands flat onto the ground for a second. Just lengthen your spine so there's energy through your crown, energy through your tail. You have a moment to really connect into the abdominals and into the back muscles. And then on your next breath, just walk your hands a little bit forward so you can start to place the elbows down, so the forearms on the ground. And then just allow your back to soften. And then just stay here for a moment so that you feel that rounding in the curve of your spine. And then on your next breath, just walk your hands a little bit more forward. Bring your thumbs together to touch. Take your elbows wide and then bring your head all the way down towards the ground. And if your head is not touching the floor, please put a pillow underneath your head so that your head is in fact supported. And then feel free to close your eyes. And we're just going to start with some breathing. So inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And start to slow your breathing down. Let it lengthen and extend a little bit. And then as you continue with this gentle breath, make any adjustments you need to your position. As your hips relax, you might find you need to move your knees or feet. As your neck and shoulders relax, you might find that you need to move your head or your arms. And keep breathing. Bring your awareness to the back of your ribs for a moment. And become aware of your ribs expanding wide with each inhale. And feeling the ribs close with each exhale. And visualize your lungs inflating like two balloons as you breathe in. And feel the air getting squeezed out of your lungs as you breathe out. And then start to notice how your lower back is perhaps relaxing, maybe getting a wonderful stretch as you're here and breathing. And take a moment to acknowledge your diaphragm, which is your breathing muscle, and just becoming aware that the diaphragm actually connects into the lumbar spine here. So as you breathe, there's actually a gentle pull and then a release into the lumbar spine. And we're just going to take a few more gentle breaths in and out. And then in your own time, start to separate your hands just a little bit, spreading your fingers out, and then pull yourself slowly up onto all fours. So placing your wrists underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Remember that you want to have your thumb and your forefinger weight bearing for you. And take a moment to lengthen your spine, and now don't let your spine move. You're going to stabilize it, but what you are going to do is let your belly relax underneath you. So I'm just putting my hand here, and you can keep your hand down. So as you inhale, just let your tummy soften and relax underneath you. It's like a cat with its little booty hanging underneath. And then as you breathe out, flatten your abdominals and actually almost feel like you're lifting your tummy away from the floor underneath you again. Keep your spine still. And again, letting your tummy soften and hang. And then as you breathe out, flatten the abdominal wall. And as you flatten the abs, you are stabilizing your lower back. Don't let your lower back round like this. So stay in that lengthened neutral position. Let's take a few more. So you're going to breathe in, letting your tummy soften. Breathe out as you lift your belly. And this is a muscle called the transverse abdominis. It's a deep core muscle. One more time. Letting your tummy hang, breathing in. And then breathing out, flatten the abdominals and hold it there. Now let's go into a cat stretch from here. So start by curving your tail underneath you. Feel your abdominals lifting and flattening. Push away from your hands so that you can round your upper back and tuck your chin in for a moment. Now stay here. Let your hips go back halfway, just so that you feel that there is no pressure on your wrists anymore. Feel the stretch now across that lower back again. And then come forward, shoulders above your wrists, and now lengthen your spine, and if your back likes it, you can go into an arch, into extension of the spine. And now, round your spine. See if you can find the articulation of each vertebra as you work your way through your back. Stay rounded. Move your hips back so you take the weight of your wrists just for a moment. Enjoy the stretch, and then come forward and lengthen. And if you want to, remember you can lift your tail, lift your heart, and lift your eyeline. We're going to do one more time. See if you can connect your breathing to your movements. So you might be moving a little faster than me or a little bit slower than me, which is absolutely fine. Sit back for that stretch. And then come forward. And once again, lengthen the tail, lifting heart, lifting eyeline. And now today, round your spine just one more time, but this time you can stay here. Tuck your toes under, and you're going to push into your hands, push into your feet, and see if you can lift your knees off the ground. So we did this yesterday, but yesterday we did this with a flat spine, a neutral spine. So in this rounded spine position, you have to really work those abdominals much more. Make sure that you can breathe. Taking one more moment. Lower the knees, release the feet, and then lengthen your spine and just come back to a neutral position. Now balance on the right hand and take the left arm out to the side. And now thread the needle through. So you're going to rest your head, rest your shoulder, Now we're going to stay here today. So yesterday we stretched this right arm out. Today we're going to stay here. And all we're going to add is a bending of the left elbow so that you can lightly pack your ribs and then releasing your arm out. And again, little pat of the ribs. So you're bending and straightening the left arm that is along the floor. So this is a wonderful release for that back arm line. Notice where you're feeling it on this left side. Let's take one more time. And stretch, stay here for a moment. Push into the right hand, all the way up you come. Remember, we want to demonstrate control of our movement, so stretch the left arm to the side, and then you put the left hand onto the floor. Now let's do the right. Reach the right arm out, coming into your thread the needle. And don't rush, just take a moment to really settle into it. Find the stretch that works for you. And now the right elbow. You bend the elbow, lightly touch your ribs with your hand, and then stretch the arm out again. And keep breathing, bending and straightening. And taking just a few more, notice how it feels on this right side. Is it any different? Stretch your right arm all the way out. And now push into the left hand. Up you come. Stretch the right arm out to the side so you demonstrate control. And then bring the hand all the way back in. Take a moment to make sure that your wrists are nice and happy. Slide the right leg back. So we did this movement yesterday, but now we're going to add on a little bit. So lift your leg up, hold it there, keep your shoulders and pelvis nice and level. Now round your spine and bring your head towards your knee. Stretch and return to a lengthened parallel alignment. And again, round your spine, knee to nose, and then lengthen. Your crown reaches forward, your toes reach back. Last two, lifting through the belly, and extend. One more time, round your spine, and extend. Hold it, and bring that knee all the way in. Make any adjustments you need. We're going to do the left leg, slide it back, lift your leg up, keeping the pelvis level, and in your own time, round the spine, knee to nose, and lengthen, extend. Taking two more. Moving with control. Extend long, hold it, and then bring your knee all the way in. Stay here for a moment. Start to turn your right hand all the way backwards, or as far as you can manage. And then do the same thing with the other hand, your left hand. And don't worry if your fingers are pointing a little bit to the side. If you've got a really strong stretch along the front of the wrist, then don't force it. If it feels pretty comfortable for you, you could perhaps add a little bit of a release back and forwards. So these front wrist muscles are called the wrist flexors. And sometimes they can feel very tight or compressed if there are any issues around the carpal tunnel. And it's very common nowadays because let's face it, so many of us are working on computers non-stop, right? So you might feel a little bit of a pull or tension or a stretch. And then certain sports as well. If you're a mountain bike rider or a cyclist, or if you are a tennis player and you're holding the racket in that one hand all the time, or if you paddle, if you do a lot of kayaking, you might find that these muscles get tight. And then release, just stay here for a moment, and then pivot your hands all the way forward again. And then make sure that your middle finger is pointing forward, the other fingers are straight out. If you need to move your hands again, do so. We're going to go into a downward facing dog. So tuck your toes under, lift your knees up off the ground, and then start moving your hips backwards in space, and just lift your hips up, but keep your knees quite bent. So right now, I want you to really focus on stretching the arms and lengthening the spine. Relax the back of your neck. And when you feel good with that setup, start to press one heel to the floor and then push the next heel to the floor. So you're just alternating, pedaling the heels down. And this is probably my favorite calf muscle release. And the poor calves work non-stop during the day, so sometimes we don't even realize that they're tight until we actually do this movement here. And let's just take 2 more. And then press both heels towards the ground. You can bend your knees, you can have them straight. Taking another breath in. And then exhale, lower your knees all the way down. And then just release the feet backwards behind you. So now take your right leg again, stretch it back. You're going to lift the leg up and we're going to do a little bit of functional hip flexor work. Step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. And then step back again. Stretch your leg up. And again, step to the side of your hand. And just keep going at your own pace. And start to notice if your range increases as you do this movement. 2 more. And we're going to do one more time. Step that foot forward and then stay there. Help yourself with your hand if you need to. And then bring your right hand up onto your knee. Put a pad underneath the left knee if you need. And then make your way all the way up so that you can find your balance. So your foot is quite wide to the side. Get the abdominal muscles connected. And let's start to just shift the body weight a little bit forwards and a little bit backwards. You want to make sure that nothing collapses in the lower spine here. So notice on your body, do you get more of a hip stretch when you bring your body weight forward? Or do you get more of a hip stretch when you move your body weight back? All of us are different. I feel it when I come forward. I get a little bit of a stretch when I come back, but it's more when I'm forward. So now find your stretch and stay there. Keep the right hand on your knee, focus your eye line, and let your left hand come down beside your hip. And now, inhale, reach up through the left hand, and then exhale, lower the arm down. And again, inhale, lift up. And as you do this arm movement, down and up, we are adding tensioning to the fascia that runs down through the hip and through the quadricep. So you might notice when you bring the arm up that you get a little bit of an extra stretch. Let's do one more time. Reach up and releasing it down. So now take your time as you come down. Put both your hands firmly to the ground. Move your body weight a little bit to the left so you can stretch that right leg all the way back. And then bring your knee in underneath you. Take a moment to center yourself. We're going to do the left leg. Slide the left leg back. Lift the leg up. And then start to step to the side of your left hand and back again. Go at your own pace. And we're trying to make this as seamless and as fluid as possible. So always think of quietly stepping your foot beside you. And this is going to be our last one. Step your foot to the side and then stay there. Help yourself if you need. Left hand comes up. Bring your body upright and stay here for a moment. Core connection, eye line focused, and then you start moving your body weight forwards and backwards to find your stretch on the right hip. And it's always interesting to notice that it could be different between your two sides of your body as well. Make sure that your knee is comfortable. If you need padding for your knee, go for it. My mat is very thick and squishy, so I'm fine here. Stay in your stretch position. Right hand reaches down and breathe in. And breathe out. And again, inhale. And exhale. Good. Notice the tensioning that you're creating, and does it make a difference for your stretch and your release? We're going to do one more time. Bringing both hands flat down, rooting into your hands, shift a little bit to the right with your body weight, sweep the left leg back, and again we demonstrate control by extending and then bringing your knee all the way in. Open your knees nice and wide, big toes together. Once again, sit back, lower your forearms, lower your head, bringing the thumbs together to touch, and the elbows nice and wide. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Notice the shift that is starting to take place. Find the weight of your pelvis, the softness through the neck and through your shoulders. And bringing your awareness to your breath, taking 3 more deep breaths in and out. And on your next breath, start to walk your hands towards your knees, rolling up through your spine. So we're going to come into our mermaid seat. So I'm going to do a mirror image for you. So you're going to have your right shin in front and your left shin to the back. And then make sure that your pelvis is as comfortable as possible. If you need to sit on a cushion, go for it. And we start to take the arms from side to side. So we're coming into some lateral flexion of the spine. And go at your own rhythm. Find the range of movement that works for you. And then just allow your lower body to respond to this movement. So you're not going to force your hips and your knees and your feet where they don't want to go, or they can't go. And we're going to take just one more time. And stretch. Now, just bringing that left arm up, straightening the right arm. And if you have a look at your right hand, your middle finger is pointing away from you. You are rolling the shoulders back, and then you bend the top elbow to do a little bit of salute. Now glue your scapula to the back of your ribs, and we do a little bend of the elbow, and then we press up. And as you bend your elbow, allow your elbow to point in the direction that feels good for that joint. So it's a hinge joint. So it might feel more comfortable for you if your hand is pointing a certain way, that you aim the elbow towards your ribs, or maybe you've got to aim it a little bit backwards. But can you stabilize your scapula on the back of your rib cage as you do this movement? And we're going to take 2 more. So this is just a little bit of a variation of the push-ups that we did yesterday when we were on all fours. Now we're doing single arm push-ups, tricep push-ups. And press up and hold it. Stretch your top arm, look up at the palm of your hand. Now take your arm backwards so you open up your chest, and then round your spine and bring your hand down towards the floor. And again, bringing your arm up and back, opening the front arm lines, and then bringing your hand to the floor and getting a stretch along the back arm line. We're going to do 2 more. Connect your breath however feels natural for you. Last one. And round. Come all the way back to the center. And then sitting upright. Now, bring your feet just in front of you. Use your hands on the floor behind you to help you balance. And glue the knees together, glue the feet together, and tuck yourself into a little ball shape. Put your hands to the front of your shins. And then you're just going to balance here. And if you're up for the challenge, you could try closing your eyes. And what's nice about closing eyes is that it forces you to focus on those deep internal connections and to become aware of that constant refining and readjusting of your body in order to keep your balance. When you're ready, open your eyes, and then use your hands to support you and take your feet over to the other side. So now you're going to have your left shin to the front, get your pelvis comfortable, and we go side to side. Lateral flexion of the spine. Finding that opening along the side of the ribs. Now, we've got so many muscles around the ribs that we might not even be aware of. We've got the intercostal muscles that line the rib cage that help us breathe. We've got the diaphragm. We've got the obliques muscles and the lower back muscles called the quadratus lumborum. And now let's do one more stretch. So now you're going to have your left hand on the floor, right hand reaching over, and then come all the way up. Take a moment to straighten both your arms. Look at your hand that's on the floor. Get your hand set up with the middle finger pointing away, and then salute. We're going to bend the elbow, little tricep dips. And I want you to bring your awareness to what your shoulder blade, your scapula, is doing behind you. Can you keep it glued to your back? And you might find, if you are right-handed, that the right side is much stronger and more stable. Or if you're left-handed, you might find that the left side is stronger and more stable. So just notice, there's no judgment attached. It's just good for us to become aware of how our bodies like to move. Let's do one more time. Press up and hold it here. Take your top arm, stretch it up. Look up and then open up the chest. And then round your spine, bringing your hand down towards the floor. And again, breathing and releasing, getting that stretch and opening between the shoulder blades. We're going to do 2 more. And do you notice now that we're moving the arms and we're rotating the spine, that the rib cage is moving, so relative to the scapula is gliding along your back of your rib cage. Come back to the center, hold it here, and then release all the way up. So now we're just going to pivot. So we're going to be in a seated position. Come a little bit more forward towards the front of your mat. Knees bent, and we're going to do the same half roll back that we did yesterday. So your arms are out in front of you. Relax the neck and shoulders. On your breath, curl the tail under. Find a position where you connect your core without lifting your feet and without straining your lower back. And then forward you come. And lift up nice and tall. And again, draw the tail under. Stay there for a moment. Take a breath in. And exhale. And let's take another 2, and then we're going to have a little challenge. Stay for a moment. And on this last one, let's stay back here and hold. Can you lift one arm? And then bring it down. How about the other arm? Lift. And bring it down. 2 more. Can you get the flattening sensation of the abdominals? 1 more. Stay for a moment and then roll down. Remember, guys, if you want to help yourself, hold on to the back of your legs. And now just relax the arms there beside you. And then walk your feet a little bit closer in towards your pelvis. All right, so we're going to be going up into a pelvic curl. So again, making sure that you've got your knees and feet slightly apart. Arms down, guys. I don't mind if you have palms down or palms up. Figure out what feels best for your neck and shoulders, okay? We're going to take the breath in. And then on your exhale, do the little tilt of the hips and start rolling your pelvis up towards the ceiling. Stay here for a moment. Remember this from yesterday? We want the gluteus maximus doing its job, not the lower back pushing and not the hamstrings taking over. Take a little breath and then ripple down through your spine. Feel the imprint and release. Make any adjustments you need. Let's go again. Keep tilting your pelvis posterior. So imagine that your pubic bone is zipping up to your sternum. And then work your way down through your spine. Feeling the imprint and release. And we're going to take another. Exhale, tilt. And in this position, can you maybe feel there's a little bit of a stretch at the front of the hip here? Work your way down through the spine. So that's why it's quite nice when we did that kneeling hip flexor stretch. It facilitates this movement because this was already then opened up. On this last one, we're standing up. Exhale, tilt. Now I want you to stay here. Take your hands and lightly cup your bum cheeks. Now don't hold yourself up, just feel that there's something happening here. Start to push your right foot into the ground. You're not going to go anywhere. You're not lifting up the left leg. All you're doing is weight bearing on the right side and just seeing if something's firing up in that right bum. Maybe you actually need to poke it a little bit. Sometimes that helps to make it wake up slightly. And then level out your feet. And then start to push the left foot into the ground. Make sure, by the way, that your abs are still connected. You don't want your lower back taking over. And now that you're weight bearing on the left side, what's happening? Can you feel something on that left gluteal? And then level out your feet. Let's do one more time each side. Start to push the right foot down. Stay with your breath. You're not allowed to hold your breath. Can you feel something? And release. And this is the last one. Push the left foot down onto the floor. Wakey, wakey, bum cheek. Wakey, wakey, left side. And release. And now let your hands relax down and work your way down through your spine. Feeling that imprint into the lower back. And releasing it out. Now, walk your feet to the outer edges of your mat. Take your hands a little bit wider than your mat. Palms up, doesn't matter. And then start to do a gentle windscreen wiper action with your legs, going from side to side. It doesn't matter which side you go to first. What I want you to be aware of is that your lower back is okay with whichever range you choose. So you don't have to touch your knees to the floor, by the way. And we're getting a little bit of a rotation through the lumbar spine, and it's going to be traveling up towards the thoracic spine as well. And if you wanted to, you could look over the opposite shoulder so that you get a rotation through the cervical spine as well. And let's just do 2 more. Let's take 1 more. And bring yourself all the way back to the center. Now walk your feet a little bit closer so that they're hip distance, and hug your right knee in towards your chest. Wiggle out your spine so you've got space. Now listen, I want you to keep the left leg bent today. Yesterday, I told you you could straighten it out. Keep it bent for now. Take your hand behind that right thigh, flexing the foot, and on your breath out, extend the knee straight. And then inhale, release. 3 more. Standing your foot on the ceiling above you and release. 2 more. Be aware that your pelvis, your shoulders, and your head are as heavy and as easy as possible. 1 more time. And then bend your knee. And now what you're going to do is just let that knee open to the side and cross your ankle over the left knee. Now take your hands onto those 2 little pelvic bones on the side. You want the abdominals to connect, support your lower back, and on your breath out, see if you can pick up the left leg so you're pulling your thigh closer and you're giving it a stretch into that right bum. And then releasing the left foot down again. And again, you pick up the foot. So yes, you're coming into a stretch, but can you feel how much your core has to work as well? And releasing it down. Keeping your head and shoulders relaxed to the floor. If you need to put a pillow or a cushion under your head, feel free. And release. And we're going to do just 1 more time. And release. And then once more, hug that knee nice and tight into your chest and placing that right foot down. Now bring your left leg in towards you. Taking your hands just behind the knee, you're going to flex your foot. And we go. Stretch up. And release. 3 more. 2 more. Last time. And release. And now turn that knee out. You're going to cross the ankle over. Hands come down onto your pelvic bones. Abs are connected. And you pick up the right leg. And releasing it down. Find the stretch that works for you. So you guys that have worked with me before, I've told you this, my hips are very tight. So this is something that I constantly need to work on. So you might have a bigger range of movement than me. Go for it as long as it feels good for you. Last one. And release. And you're going to hug the knee in towards your chest. And then placing your feet down. Now again, I want you to bring the knees and the feet right next to each other so that there's no daylight between your inner thighs. You're squeezing. Bring your hands up towards the sky. And then close your eyes for a moment. We did this yesterday. And I just want you to feel the points of contact of your body to the ground. Just allow yourself to be supported here for a moment. And then opening your eyes, we're going to open our arms out to the side, breathing in. And then breathing out, bring your hands up and together, and I want you to connect each fingertip to its partner. And again, inhale, open your arms wide. Don't let them rest, hover them. Exhale. Bringing your arms up. 3 more. So one of the reasons I like to bring my hands together at the top and connect the fingertips is it just forces you to slow down. It forces you to really be mindful of your body and where you are in space. And let's do just one more time. Just getting a nice, easy warm up through the shoulders. Stay here. And then interlock your fingers. Lift your head. And then just rest your hands underneath your head. Give your spine a little wiggle. And with your head resting in your hands, bring your elbows up a little bit. And remember that we are creating a hammock that supports your head. Get your lower back in a happy place and then stabilize your pelvis. We nod the chin. And on your breath out, come up into your first chest lift of today's class. Slide your ribs towards your pelvis. Don't pull on your head. And then with control, take your ribs down and keep your elbows suspended. Nod your chin. Exhale, slide your ribs forward. Get the sensation of flattening the abdominal wall. And then controlling the movement on the way down. Nod your chin. Exhale. And release. So we're still getting those deep abdominal muscles connected. Keep moving. And we're adding those upper abdominals that connect to the ribs. And on this last one, we're going to stay lifted for a moment. Exhale, curl forward. Now hold it here. Squeeze your legs together. Don't let them separate. Do a little rotation with your ribs to one side. A little rotation. And come to the center. And now rotate to the other side. And come center. Keeping your elbows open. It's not about swinging your elbows. It's not about moving your face from side to side. It's about moving your rib cage to the opposite side. So you should feel those obliques muscles switching on now. Let's do 2 more. Let's do 1 more. Come back to the center, hold it, and lower head and shoulders all the way down. Stretch your legs all the way out long, reaching your arms all the way over. Give yourself a little bit of a good morning stretch. And then releasing your arms down, I want you to roll onto one side. So I'm going to be rolling onto my right side. So my right arm is going to make a little bit of a pillow. I'm going to have my knees just a little bit bent in front of me, and my left hand is going to be on the shelf of my hip. You could be doing the other side, that's absolutely fine. Chin up, shoulders down, and I want your bottom abdominals to stay connected. Take your top leg and stretch it out long. Flex the foot and push your heel away from you. So you want to have your leg at the same height as your hip. So you don't have to lift your leg like this, and you don't want to drop into the floor either. Get your leg in parallel, and then if you need to lift your head and look, you want to have a straight line from the ankle to the knee to the hip, to the shoulder, to the ear. So you don't want your leg traveling behind you, and you don't want your leg swinging in front. Just finding that long, straight line. And we're just staying here for a moment. And when we hold a position like this and you can feel the muscles working, this is called an isometric contraction. So this is a very valuable way of getting your brain to connect to certain muscle groups. And in this particular case, we're trying to get the brain to wake up the side bum muscles here, which are called the gluteus medius muscles. Now, connect your abdominals, your bottom obliques, and see if you can start to lift your leg up a little bit without collapsing the underneath oblique. Now stay there. Isometric contraction here. So now, if you put your hand just towards the back of your hip, you should feel wrinkles in your pants. So what that tells you is that you're actually moving correctly from the hip joint as opposed to moving the lumbar spine. Because we want the lumbar spine and the pelvis to stay still. We just want the leg to move. And that's going to start to wake up the gluteus medius. Now, with control, bring your leg down towards the floor, no resting. And then exhale, bring your leg back up again and tighten underneath oblique. 4 more. Lower down with control. And then push energy up through the heel of the foot. 3 more. Double check that your leg is still in a straight line with your body and not swinging forward. 2 more. Last one. Hold it. Point your toe, bend your knee in, and give your tushies just a little bit of a rub. So you can just roll to the other side. I still want to face towards you guys, towards the camera. So I'm just actually going to do a little bit of a pivot around. And I'm now lying on my left side, knees a little bit bent, and my right hand goes onto the shelf of my hip. So chin up, shoulders down, and you want to double check that you have that oblique connection underneath you. Take your top leg, stretch it out, flex your foot, and then we want to check alignment so that while we are in this isometric contraction, we're making sure we've got the correct muscles working. So your leg is the same height as your hip. And you have a straight line, ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle. And just make sure that you're breathing, getting your brain to recognize that little bum muscle on the side. And then start to lift your leg up a little bit so we are shortening that muscle. Don't let the abdominals collapse. And then take your hand around the back and feel for the wrinkles on your pants. And then stay here for just a few more seconds. This connection to gluteus medius is so important for helping us stabilize our sacroiliac joints and our lower backs, especially for women. And now we're going to start to lower the leg down. Don't let it rest. And then lift the leg up. And again, lower. One more time. Focused. Concentrate on the movement, on the connections. Hold it. Point your toe. Bend your knee in. And then give your tushies just a little bit of a rub. Nicely done, guys. So now, roll onto your stomachs. So we're going to be doing a little bit of back extension, which we didn't really have a chance to do yesterday. So I'm going to have my legs just slightly apart. You can move your legs so that your lower back feels secure. And then take your hands quite wide out to the side so that you can easily get your elbows on the floor. Hover the tip of your nose so that you can breathe. And then before we go anywhere, I just want you to activate your gluteals. You don't have to grip like 100%. Do 10% effort. So all it's going to do is help you keep your pelvis anchored to the floor. Start by lifting your eye line up. And then let the rest of your shoulder follow. So you come up just into a baby cobra. We're not lifting super duper high. Stay here for a moment so your breastbone is reaching forward. And then we're going to lower the ribs down and hover the tip of the nose. And we go again. Lifting eye line. Rolling up into a little baby extension. Stay here just for a moment. Remember that the gluteals are active, not overworking. And then releasing all the way down. And we're going to do one more time, just like that. Coming up into little baby cobra. And now this time, I just want you to stay here for a moment. Just check out if you're able to hover the right arm just off the ground. It doesn't have to go high. You just have to lift it up and see if you can keep your shoulders level. And then place your hand down. And now see if you can do the same thing with the left arm. Just hover that arm up. Breastbone lifted. And then bring that arm down. And then see if you can pick up the right leg. Not high. Hold it there. And release down. And now see if you can pick up the left leg. Just a little bit. Keeping the pelvis level, keeping your shoulders level. And take it down. Take a breath in. And then releasing all the way down. Nicely done. Take your hands, tucking them underneath you. Push yourself up and back. And let's come into our resting position once again. So get your knees where they feel good. Take your time as you walk yourself down. And then settle your head to the floor. Bring the thumbs together to touch the elbows nice and wide. And this is a really nice counter stretch for those back muscles that have just been working. So again, if you focus on your breathing, It helps to release all those back muscles, all the way from your neck down towards the pelvis and the sacrum. Taking one more deep breath in and out. And then walking your hands backwards towards your knees. I just want you to make your way into a comfortable seated position. So if you want to sit on a little block, you're more than welcome to. If you want to have your legs out in front of you, you can pull the flesh of your bum out behind you so that you can sit up nice and tall. And then I want you to take your fingertips just onto either side of your ground, just light, so that your shoulders are nicely anchored. Turn your head, I'm going to do a mirror image for you. Turn your head to your right, and then tilt your chin down, and play with the position of your head until you feel that stretch down the left side of your neck. So yesterday in class, we did this in a standing position. And if you wanted to increase the stretch, what you could do is take your right hand. Now, do not pull on your head. I'm not saying pull. I'm saying lightly touch the top of your head just to add that 1% extra stretch. Releasing your right hand down, fingertips touch. Slowly bring your head up and bring your eye line back to the center. Now turn your head over towards the left, and then tilt your chin. Play with the position so that it feels good for your neck. And then settle there for a moment. You can stay here, or you can lightly touch your left hand to the top of your head. Just adding a 1% stretch. Keep breathing. And then release, bringing your fingertips down to the floor. Lift your gaze, bring your head all the way back to the center. Now turning your hands over the palms are facing up. We're going to inhale, reaching all the way up, connecting each fingertip to a partner above you. And then exhale, open your arms wide, creating that lovely space for yourself for the rest of your day. And then rolling your shoulders all the way back and around. Fantastic job, guys. Thank you very much. Let me just turn on the volume if you guys have any questions or comments.